In the interview that follows, I talked to Mike and Sarah, who have moved overseas, and they talk about how they analyzed the money part of the equation in order to determine if they had enough money to move overseas. Now, they retired in a specific country, but the analysis remains the same, in my opinion. Here we go.
The advice that I would give people that come over here and want to retire, I would say, listen, I said, this is my financial advice to you. I would say, look at it as financially in three separate buckets. I was working at Stanford University at the time, and I worked in biotech and in different companies, and she was working at biotech. So we were at the top of our career, basically, and we just basically said, listen, we love our jobs, they're going fine, but what are we working for in the end? You know, we kind of asked that question.
Yeah, right.
And so
when enough is enough.
Yeah, when is enough enough?
Yeah.
That's always a challenge to somebody.
Do we have to wait until we're 60?
This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, and today we're lucky to have Mike and Sarah on the channel, and they have a story to tell, which I'm excited about. It's a love story about Thailand, and it's a little different than most love stories because of how long it is. And so I'm excited to have them on the channel to tell you their story. Welcome, you two. So tell us a little bit about your story. How long ago did you meet in Thailand? How long have you been together, and where have you lived over the time since you've met?
I originally came to Thailand about 30 years ago as a Peace Corps volunteer. So we actually met about a year into my service, 1992. We actually met on a bus in Bangkok, believe it or not.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Crazy of all things. So we just started talking, dated for about a year, and then we got married. So we've been married now for 28 years. After we got married, we decided to move to the US. First place we lived was New Orleans, Louisiana. So we spent a couple years there, and I actually was in graduate school and got my master's degree. And then from there, we both moved to the Bay Area in San Francisco, and we lived in there for 25 years or so. Decided to come back to Thailand. We couldn't believe that financially we could do it. And her mother was having some mobility issues, so we came back to take care of her mother. So we always envisioned to come back to Thailand, but we just didn't realize that we could do it sooner than we actually did.
Yeah. We thought when we turn 60, 65, retirement age, like normal people, but it's just sooner.
So we've been here for 4 years. We came back when I was 49, I guess.
Yeah.
Such a great story. So you were able to leave the US in this 11 years earlier than you thought, because 49 to 60, right, Mike?
Yeah.
And so that's quite a long time. What gave you the confidence what was sort of the math you did in your head and said, we can save so much by moving to Thailand? I don't need numbers or anything, but just the idea, we can save so much that we'll be able to pay for that whole 11 years, plus then maybe your Social Security kicks in. How did that go through your minds for the two of you? What were you thinking?
The advice that I would give people that come over here and want to retire, I would say, listen, I said, this is my financial advice to you. I would say, look at it as financially in three separate buckets. The first bucket I would say are one-time costs. Okay, that's going to be like your airline ticket over here. It's going to be if you're shipping anything over here. It could be security deposit on a place that you rent. It could even be a place that you buy. It could be a motorcycle. It could be a car. It could be, for us, we took over Mother's house. We had some remodeling to do. It could be a lot of people like softer beds than Thai people. So they go out and buy a new bed. And, that could be $1,000. So I would say, look at it from a one-time cost in one bucket. Now, for us, I'll just give you a number. It was about $50,000. But you have to understand that half of that was for a car alone. When you start throwing in cars and motorcycles and remodeling bathrooms and stuff like that, you can see that. So you say, okay, that's one bucket. The second bucket is, what is it going to cost me to live a month? Food, gas, electricity, water, all that, all the utilities and all that sort of stuff. So we can talk about that later and how much I pay in them. And then the third bucket, which people need to consider, is what I call an emergency fund. So what's the amount that you have in? You use it two things. One of them is if you end up in a hospital, right? And you pay as you go. The other thing is, let's say something happens and you need to go back to the US, right? If there's a an issue with a family member or something happens. And so you might need money to do that. So if you look at it from 3 separate buckets, you put a dollar value on them. Because a lot of people focus on, yes, I can do it monthly, live here, but then they realize, well, wait a minute, I need money in the first bucket, because also you might need money for your visa. You know, in Thailand, you have to have a certain amount in the bank as kind of like a bond against it. So whatever you first spend that makes your life comfortable. Now, keep in mind, this situation is different than yours because you slowly travel. So you're not going to necessarily have a car, a motorcycle, you know, and all that sort of stuff and visa things. But if you're looking at retiring here, I would give the advice to look at 3 separate packages, you know, these 3 separate funds to do that. And then we put dollar values on all those. And we said, wow, we can do this. We can easily do this. And so that really helped out.
And how did you, in terms of the bucket for, you got your bucket for the hard costs when you first moved there, that with a car, motorcycle, remodel a bathroom. The second bucket you looked at was, what's our monthly expense going to be? Is that right? Like, what's the cost of living going to be per year? And how did you arrive at that? Did you go visit? Had you visited recently? How did you know that data?
Yeah, we went back once a year.
Yeah, we would go back once a year. So we knew the prices, but also keep in mind that we also support her mother. So there's 3 of us. And just to throw out some figures, we budget 60,000 baht a month, or $1,900. Okay. Now what that includes is food. It includes insurance for the car and health insurance, and it includes gas, right? Gas for the cars, electricity, water, internet, phone. And another thing is what I call social tax. You know, because you come and live here and you're going to get invited to weddings and graduations, funerals, and you go to the temples and things like that. And you're expected to donate money, and we're active in the temples and stuff like that. I call that social tax, because if you're going to live here, you might as well live like the locals do. And that's what we do. And so we participate in the local activities, and it's great because we get to meet like doctors and teachers and things like that in the local school systems and clinics. And so you make connections. And so there's what I call a social tax that also to contribute to society, I guess, to donate.
Yes.
So yeah, that's kind of what we do.
Yeah, and I'll bet you, I'm just spitballing here, but I bet you your social cost is lower than what some expats spend, because they're not hanging out with locals so much, or maybe they're drinking more, partying more, hanging out with other expats, and so they're not living like a local; they're living like a foreigner, you know. And so it might even be cheaper, is what I'm hinting on.
General foreigner that married with a Thai, you know, local Thai. When they have a video on YouTube, they start to like went out for a coffee. They start, oh, this is cheaper than Starbucks. You know, like Starbucks be $5-6. Here's like $3.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like $3. It's still expensive. You know, I can get it for $1. You know, so I never compare my life in the US that I spend. And my life here, I just want to compare with, I'm Thai, you know, I'm here. I want to spend as much as Thai people spend, you know. So, but I never compare, oh, I pay this in the US because I do not. We do not make money like we in the US anymore.
Yeah, Chung's the same way. She's always comparing apples to apples. She's not comparing apples to oranges, and it makes a big difference.
If you would like to learn how I fired my boss and traveled the world for 16 years and how I pay for things, grab a free copy of my ebook.
Great. And then so that third bucket sounds like it'd be a little harder to estimate. How did you come up with that third bucket after cost of living at 1,900 and your upfront cost of 50,000? How did you do that one?
The emergency fund is very difficult. Now, we actually estimate a million baht. That's what our estimate, which is about $30,000 US. Right. So where do we come up with that number? Well, hospitals, we have 2 different hospital systems here, a private and a public one. Public one is much cheaper, but
people waiting for line.
Yeah, but it takes a long time to get in because there's a lot more people. There's a line and things like that. And we've got 2 private hospitals, and one is a little bit more expensive than the other. One has different specialties. And then there's also clinics and pharmacies. So we did some price comparison of medicines and fees for hospitals. Now, I got food poisoning one time. I went to a private hospital in the emergency room. They put me on an IV and I spent one night in the hospital with all the food and doctors, things like that. It's pay as you go. And I believe the bill was about $190 US. That's an emergency room visit with all the doctors and nurses and everything. And that's a private hospital, the best one we've got here. So you're right. It's very difficult to estimate that last bucket of emergency funds.
Right.
But that's kind of what we estimated.
Great point. And that also highlights the fact that the 1900 included living costs for the three of you. Is that right?
That's correct. And I do want to mention, I do have accidental health insurance, and I pay about $150 a year. So if I'm ever in an accident, and it's happened, motorcycle, car accident, I can go to the hospital.
Slip, trip, and fall.
Slip, trips, and falls. That's right.
Stray dog bites you.
Yeah, dog bites. I have insurance for that. And $150 a full year. AIA.
American International Insurance.
So I got a visa from the Thai consulate in Los Angeles. It's what they call a non-O visa. And it's a single entry visa that allows me to come to Thailand for 90 days. The cost of that was, I don't know, a couple $100. I got the non-O based on marriage, not based on retirement. So then I came to Thailand, and then after 90 days, I extended for a year based on marriage. And the cost to do that is 1,900 baht. What is that? $40, something like 50 bucks, something like that. Because it's based on marriage, I have to put up a bond of 400,000 baht in the bank. Now, if you're on retirement, you have to put up a bond of 800,000 baht.
Okay, so just to give people an idea, 400,000 bahts, probably around $11,000 today, give or take a thousand, and then the 800,000 if they want to go with is around 23,000, 24, double that or whatever it is, roughly. Is that?
If your viewers have any pets that are coming to Thailand that they want to ship them here, the immigration office in Washington, D.C., the Thai embassy has a website set up for that, and there's actually a roadmap on how to bring pets in, and you can follow the roadmap on what paperwork you need when and how much it's going to cost and all that sort of stuff. It's very simple laid out. I ran into somebody who shipped 2 German Shepherds over here from the U.S., so all their questions will be answered by following that, and you can give them that link or whatever. So that's great. Now, do you want to start off what we do here and where
we've been to the part of Thailand where they live, so we show you some photos of that stuff as we continue our discussion.
So we live 2 hours west from Bangkok, about 125 kilometers.
Right.
It's a province called Kanchanaburi.
Yes.
It's a World War II, with the bridge over the River Kwai.
Bridge over River Kwai. Yeah, we've been there.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah. So we're right on the border with Myanmar.
Right.
Actually, you might pass our house without knowing that. You know the cemetery, World War II cemetery,
of course.
At the main
We
road?
stopped there.
And if you keep going straight, there's a bridge, right?
Yeah.
We live in the middle.
Yeah, you might have passed our house without even knowing it. Small world.
Yeah, it's quite moving to go and see all the soldiers in that cemetery. You see their names and how old they were when they died and what country they're from.
We also have the waterfalls. A lot of people come here for 𝗪one waterfall, which you might have heard of, and 𝐴𝐻 is another big one, and 𝐶𝐈𝐿. So we got the waterfalls, the mountains, Buddhist temples. We got Wat Tham Sill, which is a big temple.
What are your thoughts about using that as your base down exploring the world?
I think so, because I worked in Singapore for a while. And when I've come to Thailand is just so convenient being in Southeast Asia, and there's so many flights. I mean, we've been to Vietnam and Cambodia and Laos and Myanmar and Malaysia and obviously working in Singapore and been to Borneo and spent a lot of time there. And actually the first episode I saw was when you were in Central America and you were actually going through your bag and you were sharing with people exactly what is in your bag. And the first thing you said was, I'm going to hate this video because this is going to be the most boring video, but people ask what I actually have in my bag. How many shirts do I have? And how many, because at that time we were doing a lot of traveling. And I actually thought it was interesting.
I remember the episode. He was like, honey, come here, look at him. He packed the bag. Look what he has. I'm like, okay.
If you're living in a remote area, in a smaller village, the cost of living is about $1,000 a month. And there was a guy that I know, Malcolm, he lived in 𝐷 and he spent about 1,000. We spent about 2. And then if you're in Bangkok, Pattaya area, you can spend about 3, Chiang Mai. So anybody who comes here just think, okay, do they want 1, 2, or 3? And it's going to depend on what do you like, the amenities that you want to have. In our particular town, apartments can go anywhere from $100 to $600.
You make up that's a great point, because people always say, what does it cost to live in Thailand? It's like, wait a second, you really need to go there and see what neighborhood do I want to live in, what part of Thailand, what food am I going to eat, where, like you said, which kind of hospital am I going to go to, what medicines do I eat, do I go play, do I shoot pool with my friends on, Friday, Saturday night? What is it that your life's going to look like? And that's why I always recommend an exploratory visit. Put the feet on the ground and with a pencil and a piece of paper and really honestly look at your life and see what it's going to cost. Because my numbers won't be the same as their numbers. Yours won't be the same as mine. And so I think that's a key thing, that you have that information and you were able to dial it down. So I would say I take your points very well taken. They really need to come. They need to spend significant time, a month or 2, wandering about, seeing where they want to live, their favorite places, and figuring out what it's going to cost them.
This is Dan of Vagabond Buddha. We have hundreds of reports of the best places to retire cheap in paradise. You can click any one of these countries and you'll see many reports in each country. And then we have all these planning reports that teaches you how to plan overseas retirement. I got an email from one of my subscribers that said, there's so many ebooks, I don't know which one to read first. So I put together a course for you here, the Retire Overseas course. Come on over and play this syllabus for the course. You'll learn what the course is about. Get our free ebook here. And so you're on our email list, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 14 plus years. Just come over here, put in your email.
Well, thank you so much, you two. It's a joy.
You're welcome.
Have a great weekend.
Hey, if you liked our video, please like, comment, or subscribe. Any of that would help our business. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.